So I'm Sean Porter from Sensu, and today I'm here to talk to you about the art of monitoring. I got more seconds. This is awesome. Really a history lesson about monitoring and how every protocol and tool really builds on what came before it. Man, okay. Sweet. Off to a sweet start. So Sensu is an open source monitoring tool. I think it crashed. Computers are great. Should be monitoring this. Did I get cut? Yeah. Hey, what? They're on time. So they're on speaker deck. Well, it doesn't have a timer though. I could just flip through it. I could go like rapid fire succession.
This is it, right?
The art of monitoring? Yes. Wicked, I have an advantage. How do you have the?
We're like cat picture.
Go.
Cool. So the art of monitoring. Again, history lesson around how every protocol and tool that came before it is the basis for the new and shiny. Do I have to trigger, or is it going to go? Hey! So the first tool I want to talk about is ping. It uses the ICMP protocol to determine whether a remote host is up and listening, and then it actually records how long it takes to do so. So this is the first widely adopted monitoring check. So the not-so-simple network management protocol is the first comprehensive protocol for getting and setting values on remote devices. And this is still the de facto way that network monitoring is done today. So the one thing, it's a trap, is SNMP got this part right, which is if in the event of something happening, it can create a payload and send that to something that cares, and then you can alert and notify people after that happening. Following this in 1999, so there's a bit of a gap where nothing really happened in monitoring, and then RRD came in, the round-robin DB, specifically designed for time series database that has consolidation and retention built in. It has a few issues with it, but it was great at the time. So OpenNMS is the first tool that really built on these protocols before it. It was a monolithic tool that could use them and then notify people based on rules. And it used Java and actually used PostgreSQL as a database. So NetSaint, the year's 1999, I don't think that's coincidence, but this eventually became the most prevalent tool in our industry for monitoring. It eventually rebranded, thankfully, into what we all know as Nagios, or Nachos, or however you spell it. And it really is focused around this idea of hosts and services that run on it. But what's dope about Nagios is that it has NRPE, which is a protocol that can remotely evoke checks on demand on its agents. So what really propelled Nagios and made it popular and widely adopted is its plugin spec. Commands a script that are run, and it could output data and information to standard out and exit status to indicate severity, whether it's failing or not. Extremely accessible and extremely flexible. Fast forward a little bit to 2008, Graphite was really building on what RRD had started, but it had an API to give access to the data as well as a number of functions so that you could do analytics on it. It was incredibly beneficial, and Graphite is widely used today. After Graphite, we had this idea of anomaly detection, complex event processing, and forecasting, but none of them really panned out, and we're still after this today. Following that was StatsD. This is a fantastic, simple line protocol for defining counters, gauges, and other pieces of telemetry data. It takes care of rollups and things like computing your 90th percentile. Pretty rad. In 2011, Sensu came along. It was all really about this idea of a monitoring router or a framework with composition and extensibility as its key features. It was to escape this idea that everything has to be a monolith that tells you how to monitor. So its real secret sauce was in its back end. You could have a check that could specify one or more event handlers, so how to take action on what happens, and then they could self-select what data they cared about and then mutate that data into the format that they need. Following Sensu in 2012 out of SoundCloud, and some folks that originally were from Google created Prometheus, which is a pull-based metrics and telemetry solution. It has a separate component for alerts where you can specify rules in order to create notifications. Then we had Zipkin, which is a distributed tracing system. Basically, you instrument your application, so as a request goes through the system, it sends data to Zipkin, and Zipkin's able to compose this full trace for you. So as time progresses, the scale of the infrastructure we operate is ever increasing. The amount of tech diversity is increasing. Old is forever. And then the complexity is also going up, so everything's great, right? But the reality is like you have to use all these monitoring tools in order to have a full solution. You can't escape this realization. You need a monitoring system that includes log management, telemetry, service checks, distributed traces. That's what it is today. What I see going forward is us having a little bit more industry standards around the interfaces and the data format. So switching between what acts on the data can be switched out without much effort. So thank you. Yeah.